Loss Wednesday, and today's episode is all going to be about the benefits of fasted cardio. So, again, fasting is very, very popular. Cardio is obviously popular for a weight loss goal as well. And I'm going to talk about how a lot of people combine the two to try and get a bit of a boost to their regime. It's something that I do swear by, but not everybody does. And I'm going to cover all the ins and outs as to why it may or may not be appropriate to you. So, first of all, fasted cardio is when you're performing cardio when you've not consumed any food or the contents of your stomach have been completely digested, so your body's having to rely on its stores, whether that's the fat stores or the glycogen in the muscles. Now, this is typically easier or more easily achieved, if you like, first thing in the morning because you've likely been fasting overnight. So when you get up, you've got nothing in your stomach and you're running on empty. Now, apart from the psychological benefit, you're thinking, right, if there's nothing in the stomach, great, we'll get going. It's sometimes quite good because you get up first thing, and the idea of having a big heavy meal first might delay when you'd be able to do your cardio, or even if you wanted to risk it after an hour, you might just feel a bit sluggish depending if you've eaten something, you can end up feeling sick. So sometimes doing fasted cardio has that sort of psychological benefit on that side of things too. Now, there has been studies into the oxidation of fat. So that basically means fat being processed and broken into triglycerides. Now, fasted cardio does produce, for steady state cardio, so for light steady state cardio, that would be power walking, cross trainer, rowing, swimming, that kind of gentle stuff, right? That you prolong for a period of time, the studies have shown that that increases the oxidation of fat, right? So which is a win. But the interesting thing with the research is they found that the more intense the exercise, the less of the benefit for the fat oxidation, right? So it's like, okay, so if you were going to be doing sprint training, for example, it won't be any more beneficial to a fat loss goal if you were fasted or not. Okay, so it's like, right, okay. Whereas if you were doing light cardiovascular training, the research suggests you would get an increase in fat oxidation, so it would help that goal. Now, some of the pitfalls you might come across is that one, if you're on any sort of medication, you probably want to have to eat something to take the medication in most forms. Two, if you're diabetic, you might have to watch if you've, again, medication, you've taken insulin, that kind of thing. You also have to watch out for low blood sugar and lightheadedness, okay? Because remember that when you get up in the morning, if there's no energy in the tank and you start working out, there is a chance you might get low blood sugar and lightheadedness. You might fall and hurt yourself. Now, this is typically happens when you do more intense stuff, weights, hit training, stuff you're jumping around for, sprinting, dynamic stuff. That's why the steady state stuff, the lighter stuff, you can usually get away with. But one of the studies was looking into how your performance is lowered if you're trying to do activity whilst fasted, okay? So your performance will be less. Now, again, it all comes down to when you look at what you're trying to achieve with your training, your diet, and your whole regime, you've got to keep the goal in mind, okay? Because one size does not fit every goal. Now, if your goal is weight loss or fat loss, right, then steady state cardio, fasted, will help fat oxidation and will give you just a little bit of a boost. In other words, you'll burn more fat, and of course you're running on empty, you're tapping into the fat stores, right? So the benefits of fasted cardio, if you're doing steady state, in other words, nothing too crazy, for a period of 45 minutes to an hour, to say, you will get an added bonus. If you had a performance goal, let's say you were training for a run or you play a sport or any other performance-based goal, you don't want to be fasted. Okay, fasted cardio is not going to benefit a performance goal because the studies have shown your performance does drop, and you also run the risk of lightheadedness, dizzy spells, and all that bad stuff, okay? So you want to be thinking clearly about what is your goal. Now, typically, if you're doing cardio and you have a performance goal, more often than not, you're going to be pushing your cardio, right? Let's be fair. Like, so if you're doing any sort of sport, it's either going to be sprint or it's going to be intervals or fartlek training or something that's really going to be getting the heart rate up into a zone and maintaining it. If you're a cyclist and you're doing these sort of long endurance, you might be getting into certain zones and maintaining it. Your performance will drop if you are fasted. That's what the research shows. So performance goals The benefits to fasted cardio are probably not great, but if you did have a fat loss goal, then the benefits are there. Now, if you're on a maintenance regime, right, let's just say you're already at goal and you're thinking to yourself, right, okay, I just want to be fit for life. Is fasted cardio good for you? Now, what I would do is I'd put that into the same kind of category as fasting in general. Now, fasting is a tool. It's not vital to your success because everything else should be. You should have good habits in place, a good exercise regime, your diet should be managed as well, good hydration, good sleep, rest, recovery, all that. There's a whole other things that come to it, and fasting is one of the tools that we can play around with to keep yourself balanced. Now, when I'm working with clients to lose weight, fasting does play into it, but once they get to target, we utilize fasting as a tool periodically to reset. Now, let's just say you had a big weekend where you enjoyed yourself a bit too much. Then Monday, you might be like, well, I might do a 12 or 18-hour fast on Monday to reset from the weekend, and it acts like a tool. So if you are at maintenance, then the benefit to fasted cardio, you could use that as a bit of a tool to reset. You know, if you had a weekend with lots of carbs, you might think to yourself, right, Monday morning I'll get up and I'll go on a brisk power walk as fasted cardio to just get a bit more fat oxidation, get off some of those extra calories that I've gained over the weekend, and then you'll be feeling much better. So you can use it as a tool. So it all comes down to your goal. Now again, weight loss Wednesday, weight loss, fat loss, that's what we're really talking about here. So the benefits to that are great. Okay, so again, if you're fasted, the research suggests the oxidation is higher, so you're burning more fat. You're going to burn more fat, break it down into triglycerides, great, okay? But what it also suggests is as the intensity goes up, the benefits go down to the fasted cardio. So if you are going to do something quite intense, you'd be as well having something to eat an hour or two beforehand. That way you can keep the intensity high and get the full benefit of the workout. And again, if you're at maintenance level, so whilst you're trying to keep the fat off, but you're not trying to really make any fresh progress, then you could utilize it as a tool to drop in and out of your routine so that you can still reset and feel good and cleanse the system or whatnot. Now, there are people out there that naturally do fasted workouts, fasted cardio, because they don't like to eat in the morning or when they're working out, and that's okay. Historically, if I was lifting weights, I always try and eat something just because even a banana, something to get some energy into the system to stop me getting low blood sugar or dizzy spells. Now, thankfully, over the years, I've never really experienced that, but I never wanted to run the risk because back in the day, I was trying to lift some heavy stuff. But when it came to cardio, I always preferred to do cardio fasted, right, if I'm doing steady state. With that being said, if I was ever doing running in the morning, you know, when I was playing sport, I'd like to get out for a run in the morning to stay fit. I always then try to get something in so I could perform with the run, because there's nothing worse if you are a runner, you're out running and you just feel like your legs are like lead and you run out of gas and you slow to a halt and you just feel like you've been moving through treacle and you feel like it was a waste of a run. That sometimes can happen if you've no gas in the tank and you're trying to then push it with a run. So for me personally, if I was running, I would definitely try and have consumed some calories first just to give me a bit of a kick. But if I'm doing steady state, usually on the cross trainer or a power walk or swimming or rowing, something that you're not trying to push it too much, you're just trying to maintain a certain heart rate for a period of time, then I would do that fasted. But anytime I've had a performance goal, always consume calories. So there we are, the benefits to fasted cardio. The research suggests that if you have got a weight loss goal, then the oxidation of fat is increased if you are fasted. However, if you have a performance-based goal, as the intensity of the exercise goes up, the benefits to it come down. So for example, if you had all the best intentions of doing a steady state cardio, you got on your machine and you're going with the fat loss goal, but for whatever reason, a bunch of your favorite songs came on and you absolutely started going for it and you increased the intensity by accident, which sometimes happens, the benefits to having done that fasted are gone. So if you've got a steady state goal for your fat loss, then yes, go for it. If you've got a performance-based goal, I would say definitely consume some calories. So I hope that was helpful. Have an awesome week ahead, everybody, and I'll catch you all soon.